framed the relationship between men and women as one of enemies at war with the whole oppression narrative. Women expectations in relationships are insanely high.
So if you're successful with women, it's bad. If you are uninterested in women, like a MGTOW, it's bad. And if you're unable to get with women, it's bad. You're an incel. And if you're just like trying to like, you're not even concerned with women's issues, and instead you're basically choosing to focus on men's issues, like an MRA, guess what? It's bad.
The fact is that men are noticing this, and they're saying, hey, I got this pressure on me, and I don't know if I like it. And then they're like, oh my God, they're a bunch of misogynists for noticing.
A quarter of men bleakly said that they believe no one would fall in love with them.
Is it possible that the men are right, and the average woman no longer thinks that the average man is an acceptable partner?
But remember, whenever men try to form a space, it gets broken up.
This is just like, you go and there's some punch, you're at a party and there's a punch and there's a ladle and the cups, and there's a big turd in there.
They could have their reputations destroyed just for speaking their minds.
Men oppress women. It means men are the enemy. Well, if you don't want to have a battle of the sexes, you got to stop calling men the enemy.
We've been doing this for over 10 years. Homelessness and mental health issues, and like children being abused and boys getting their penises sliced up for circumcision. So you get what you deserve.
Feminists started the fight. They started the.
All right. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be, and welcome to Honey Badger Radio. My name is Brian. I'm here with Allison, and this is Maintaining Frame. Japan Today turns men's pain into a moral panic, where we're going to be looking at an article from Japan Today, which, by the way, the article itself is not really about Japan. It is, I guess it's more of like that part of the world, because we have another article in that is warning against the manosphere and how it's dangerous and causing real world harm. And this one comes out of Australia. And so we're going to be looking at it, reacting to it, and talking about it.
Oh, I thought we were doing the Japan one.
The what?
Or is the Japan article out of Australia? That makes no sense.
I don't really know. I've never heard of Japan Today until I came across this article, but
yeah, I'm wondering if Japan Today is like the Western perspective on Japan, or maybe we're trying to export our moral panics over to
Well,
Japan.
I don't think that's necessary. Japan has similar problems.
Okay, all right.
There are women everywhere, therefore they're going to have problems everywhere.
Woman got a woman.
Yep.
It's like cat's got a cat.
But we're not gonna talk about Japan itself. It's just so happens that the name of the website is Japan Today.
Mm-hmm.
But in a way, you could say that the sort of like, well, I don't know, like the Anglosphere in Australia, New Zealand are having some effect on the sort of Pacific region of Japan, Korea, etc. But I think that, yeah, I mean, we're getting into speculative territory. We're going to be talking about this because, strangely enough, in every part of the West, which includes Down Under, they're all worried about the same problems, which is the manosphere, and they're worried about how it's going to have a big negative effect on people, specifically women, and what that harm is. So, yeah, so that's what we're going to be looking at today. Allison, you want to do the things?
Oh yeah, but I was just gonna say we could do a series on this. There's so many of these cropping up like daisies, or was it dandelions, just everywhere.
Yeah,
almost
it's
like it's
interesting too that like no matter what part of the world it is, no matter how far away the cultures of say Australia are from Canada or from the United States or the United Kingdom or Scotland or Ireland or Wales or Europe, they all have the same problems when it comes to the manosphere. They're all worried.
Yeah, and they all have exactly
the same thing at the same time.
Exactly the same critiques, exactly the same talking points. And it's almost like they're using the manosphere to dismiss something deeper. All right. So if at any point throughout the show you want to send a super chow, you can do so at feedthebadger.com/justthetip. Please do that, because I know that there was something wrong. Yeah. Oh, no, actually, I will tell you what happened yesterday. It has been an odyssey.
You looked at me. Sorry.
1 week. Yeah, it's been an odyssey. Okay, so essentially what happened is Discord deprecated one of its plugin integrations with, or its plugin integration with Zapier. Like it was the only one. Or up and or it deprecated that version of it. Now there's a new version. So it didn't tell me. Strangely enough, Discord tells me all kinds of stuff. It gives me all kinds of notifications for stuff. But as a quote unquote developer, I didn't get a notification that they were no longer going to support that version of the plugin. So it disappeared. It no longer worked. It didn't disappear. And today I have been spending the whole day trying to fix that and you would think it would be easy, just update the plugin. No, it's more difficult than that because there's all kinds of steps. But then I got sucked into using Zapier's AI assistant, and yeah, that was probably a mistake. Although on the other hand, it did, by trying to teach it how to do what I needed it to do, I refreshed my memory on how to use Zapier, because the last time I used it was 2.5 years ago. So I fixed it, I think. Please send in your super chows so we can check that. feedthebadger.com/justthetip. Big thank you to anybody who does that, so that I know that I've actually fixed it. I would be very, very grateful. And if you want to support the show, feedthebadger.com/support. And yeah, let's just start.
All right. Should I read the ones that didn't go through from yesterday?
Yeah, no, let's get a little into the article. That's what
all right, let's get into the article. All right. So yeah, so this article is from Japan Today. From violence to sexism, the manosphere is doing real world harm, by very Japanese Stephanie Westcotton and Stephen Roberts. I can tell their clan will honor them with this work. So this is an opinion piece. All right, Melbourne. There's a lot of debate around the extent to which the manosphere is playing out in young people's lives and relationships. Some suggest claims about its malevolence are misplaced. Others think just because something happens on the internet doesn't mean it affects lives online. Okay. But this is in spite of a significant body of international evidence demonstrating otherwise. Do you want to say anything to that right away?
Yes, lay some more evidence, some more ideologically motivated advocacy evidence on us that this is a problem. That it's not actually, it's the manosphere that's the problem, not the underlying pains and vulnerabilities that society refuses to address that men have. The problems that society is creating for men. No, it's not that. It's the manosphere. And the irony is that like 90% of the manosphere is essentially just telling men, yeah, that it's a problem, but what can you do? Just man up, right? And I mean, that's mostly what the red pill says. The more conservative commentators, some of them anyway, there's not a lot that just says we need to deal with men's issues because men are human beings, or even we need to deal with men's issues because that's what's wrong with the world today, period. There's not a lot of people saying that. It's mostly just, yeah, stuff, everything sucks, man up. That ultimately that's what they say. So I don't even know why they have such a big problem with the manosphere, because it is more like a drain trap for misandry. It's basically just like, yeah, misandry exists. What are you going to do about it, man up? It's not even it's not even like a revolutionary kind of thought. It's just sort of more of the same. So I don't know. Of course, I think the real reason why they've constructed this gigantic villain is to deflect from the problems that they're creating for men and from the people who are actually saying, hey, fix those problems. No, shut up. I don't want to hear about Andrew Tate. I don't want to hear about Donald Trump. Okay, fix the problems. Fix them, because they're a problem for everyone, and they're becoming a bigger and bigger problem. And the longer we don't fix them, the more of a problem they become. So fix them. Deal with them. Make this right. I don't think they want to hear that. So they promote, in fact, I think they promote the controlled opposition that they want to hear, that they can dismiss, but also doesn't really say, hey, yeah, these social institutions are creating this problem. It's not like, what they're doing is they're putting more and more weight on men. And then when men falter, they say that the men are weaker. That just proves how weak you are. And it's such a disheartening, demoralizing thing. And they take no responsibility for it. Anyway, I went
Yeah,
on a bit of a rant already.
that's all right.
I just
Yeah,
wanted
no,
to,
this happens.
yeah, rants happen here.
I was just gonna say what I think is going on here is
Yeah.
they're coordinating. There's a coordination of narratives in all of these countries, all these different governments and their different varying academic nerve centers to basically say, okay, here's what we got to do. Now, what the goal of it is a whole other thing that I think we have talked about. But the idea that men don't have problems, but men are the problem
Yeah.
is like the thing that we're getting. Again, how is it also the case? How is it possible that this is the same story we're getting in England, Ireland, Scotland, Wales, Europe? So that includes Spain, France, Germany, all the Nordic countries, all of the Mediterranean countries, like like I mentioned, Spain and Italy, the United States of America, Canada, Australia, and New Zealand all have the same narratives, all the same things, and they're all worried about the same shit. And then they say, we have a body of international evidence that demonstrates these problems, that this is actually really nefarious. What does that mean? That means that we've all colluded together and we've all investigated ourselves and found that men are the problem. So like they're what they're doing now is they're circling the wagons. This is what I think. And they're trying to craft like the ultimate global meta narrative against men. And they're using like international evidence, which is basically, feminists in Australia calling feminists in the United States and saying, hey, what should we do? The men are starting to get uppity over here. The men are starting to like care about their country and their people and their future and their whether or not they're going to be able to get a job, whether or not they're going to be able to have some children, whether or not their country is going to look the same, like be a place where they want their kids to grow up. How do we stop them? And they're going to be like, just invoke manosphere. It's everywhere, guys. Now, of course, it's been this way forever. Like the countries that don't care about that shit, they're just going to continue to, like grow. But we're the only ones, well, at least like by and large, that are engaging in this attack on men and allowing this to happen. And I think they're doing this on purpose and they're working together to do it. That's what I think anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. It's almost like they are they are recognizing that men are probably who are going to solve these problems that we're facing, but they don't want them to actually, like, the thing is that when you have systemic problems like the ones we're facing, usually what happens is a pretty seismic institutional shift. In other words, maybe even a complete, like, sweeping the board and rebuilding stuff. And I think these institutions are terrified of that. So they want to keep men on the plantation and they want to keep shaming men for all of the problems that they are creating to see if they can continue to get men to fix them. So they create a problem. It's like this argument I had on Twitter when this woman thought I was a man. And she said, "You aren't strong enough to save me from my weakness." I'm like, how did you make your weakness a condemnation of my so-called identity as a man? Like, I just looked at, I was just astounded. And that's the same kind of dynamic. They are making the problems that they create, they're making men responsible for the problems that they create. Particularly when it's problems that they create that specifically impact men. They're making them responsible for those problems. And they're shaming men for having an opinion on being victims of the things that they're doing. All right, let's start getting into it because
Okay.
yeah, I feel like we've ranted enough.
No, that's fine. In this post-digital world, there is little or no delineation between what's viewed and experienced online and what's lived in the real world. This means we have to consider the potential harms of the manosphere not as remote or abstract, but as very real and not to be underestimated or dismissed.
Mm.
So you see, there I haven't read this article, and I didn't know, like, I wasn't really sure if it was going to be like a good article. I just noticed that, you know, it was more of the same thing. Like, what are they doing in the UK now? They're going to be teaching boys about respecting women. They're literally going to teach boys how to respect women in the UK now. And there was
Yeah,
another country that was doing it too, that I
and what
covered on
they
the
mean by
news show.
respect women
Oh no,
is
no, it was
take
the Green Party. The Green Party in the UK has, like, you know, there's like an offense that you can commit when you I want to say, like, correct a woman. Like, if a woman says something and you say actually, you can, like, get in trouble with the party. And I was like, God, you guys are so cooked, bro.
and you know that's going to
But
spread. It's going to spread because
yeah,
this is our solution to everything, is to silence men, blame men, and then tie their hands. That's it. And the thing is that what we have constructed through this entire method, this entire lie that we've told ourselves about women being oppressed, right? What we have constructed is a situation that puts the least capable and the least responsible into positions of power. Just like an escalator into positions of power, positions of influence, and then we're inheriting a disaster. Plus, all of this virtue signaling, the only thing it empowers is narcissists and sociopaths. So basically, we are a world that produces narcissism and so essentially prioritizes narcissism and sociopathy for positions of power and incompetence. And the reason why I say that is, you know, women aren't necessarily the problem. I know MGTOW today is probably, you know, sharpening his axe as I say that. If we had
who's
put
MGTOW
women,
today?
oh, our MGTOW, he's in the comments. He was upset because we said that women would have to vote to get rid of their vote. And he was saying, oh, there's all other kinds of ways, like the Muslim takeover. Like, we haven't talked about that. I mean, I haven't explicitly said it's not going to be men that take away women's vote. It's going to be women mismanaging the society that gave them their vote and crashing and burning it. Like, that's what's going
Yeah.
to happen. Men are probably going to be fighting in the trenches to try to retain women's rights. Meanwhile, women are sucking up to the invaders. Anyway, the point is that it's not necessarily women. It's women who are accountable to nothing and nobody. Right? And we're putting people who are accountable to nothing and nobody, not even the people who built the things that they're taking over. They're not even conveying. There's no conveying of institutional knowledge. There's no conveying of the kind of knowledge that you require to run something. Like, if you go into a job, right, you have things you need to learn. And we can't even, there isn't even that conveyance of information from one generation to the next because of exactly what you just said, Brian. The Green Party's like, oh, if you explain something to a woman, you could get in trouble. Well, that's been sort of the informal rule, if not actual rule, for a lot of workplaces for a long time. So men built all of this, and they can't even convey the institutional knowledge necessary to run it to women, or they're mansplainers, right? So women are just going into these jobs and listening to nobody, and they're not even accountable for the things that they're doing. If you replace, well, I mean, I don't know what the critical mass is, but if you start replacing people who know how to do their job with people who are self-righteously offended if you tell them how to do their job and have no sense, apparently think that accountability is patriarchy, how long do you think things are going to function? And that's what we're seeing across the board. Media, academia, publishing houses, animation, politics. It's across the
Law.
board. Law. It's across the board. And it's not because necessarily women. I mean, if the women, like the peasant women from like the 1700s were the ones being put in, probably wouldn't be as bad because they still had a sense of accountability to their families and their community. But women who have been trained by feminism to regard being taught how to do something as an offense against their womanhood and being held accountable for the results as an offense against good, what is good and holy. Well, this is bad. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
And nobody wants to point it out. We just want to blame men more for the results. Okay.
All right. I got a super chow from Richard Bier.
Yeah, we should probably read the other ones too, eh?
May as well.
Yep.
So we got a couple yesterday that came through, so the context might be lost, but so Richard Bier sent a super chow yesterday, I'm assuming, that didn't go through, and he says, send a message to the Badgers. Oh, no, that's you wrote that. I'm getting a flashback to a sort of a PSA from the Reagan years where a group of people were gathered around a table and each person was representing some aspect of the population. The military officer takes the majority of the 2 pies for dessert and leaves everyone else to divide a single slice. Another one of these was the grandfather and granddaughter walking together, and she asks about trees, and the grandfather is telling her about the before time when trees were abundant. At the end, the camera zooms out, and you see them both wearing gas masks. Again, I don't know what this. I think they were the context is lost, but I'm reading it because we got them yesterday. So thank you, Richard. Then Meredith G gave us one yesterday. HBR Talk 383, the problem with claiming that the founding fathers were stupid is that it ignores the fact that there are mountains of writing that shows they were intelligent and very thoughtful in how they crafted the nation. That is why you can have an entire book called Ideological Origins of the American Revolution, not an easy read, by the way. All right, thank you, Meredith, for that. And then I guess there were like several $5 things.
No, that's just my tests.
That's
all
you?
The bite,
oh, you're
all
testing.
The bite
okay,
my shiny metal butt.
Never mind.
Is me testing.
Yeah, bite my shiny metal butt. All right, then Richard Bier sent us $5 just now and said, unrelated to this topic, but I heard the other day that Candace Owens has been called up by Alex Jones because her theories are too crazy for even him to entertain and explore. Thank you. Thank you for that. Okay. So now we've done all the super chows. All right.
Let's do more.
The gendered content spiral. Broadly, the manosphere is centered on anti-feminist, misogynistic, and anti-gender equity ideas and beliefs. Okay. So I don't have a problem with any of that. So, okay, first of all, when they say the manosphere, whether you like it or not, it includes us. It does. Because anyone who's pushing back on the feminist narrative, which is essentially a story about the dynamic between men and women, which is based on a lie, anyone who pushes back on that is lumped in with the manosphere. So when because like I saw the other day, I got comments from Albert, who's really, really mad because we don't hate Pearl and Andrew Tate enough for his taste. And he's like, you guys got to condemn them. Almost like if we do that, then the mainstream media will let us continue to do our work and not call us.
You realize how many names we've gone through? Like,
what?
do you realize how many names that we were expected to to hate in order to prove something to the people who want to silence us in the first place? I'm not turning.
People have been calling for us to condemn people ever since we started.
I am not turning Honey Badger Radio into the anti-Tate platform. Okay. When feminists start saying, oh, really, we didn't intend to create Andrew Tate. I know we're responsible for him, but we're sorry and we want to distance ourselves from the things that we did that created this man. When feminists do that, maybe I'll consider taking responsibility for something that I actually warned would happen years ago. Because this Andrew Tate basically was birthed. It emerged like Athena from the forehead of Zeus, from the corpus, the collection of feminist academic thought on masculinity. They left one passingly pro-social way to be a man, and that was to please women with your body. Playboy. There you go. You got what you asked for, feminists. And when feminists disavow this and say, hey, maybe we shouldn't have stripped manhood of all of its other positive qualities and leave only one, maybe we should reconsider that. before we taught all of this, right? When they take responsibility for Andrew Tate, no, I won't even take responsibility then because I had nothing to do with it.
No, you don't. You didn't do anything wrong, and
I didn't do
and yeah,
anything
you're right.
wrong.
I mean, like even then, like I'm just saying, I'm pointing out that I'm just reminding people when they say the manosphere or the red pill or whatever, they do not exclude us. They do not exclude the reasonable people who have been doing this every day for 13 years. They
$23.
that are trying to be like rational and advocate from a place of like, here are some things that need addressing. It doesn't matter. In
I don't even
fact,
know.
we're probably worse for them than the people that
Yes.
they put out in front, because what
Yes.
we propose is something that's actually like, first of all, it's doable. It's appealing, and it will actually like have definite positive effects. And it
Yep.
comes from, I think anyway, a place of humility. So like that's not useful. The optics wouldn't be good. So
Yeah.
instead, they go after somebody that's convenient for
No,
them.
they don't.
So,
They go after Andrew
well,
Tate at the same time.
they don't go
They
after
don't. They
anybody. They just
platform
use them
him,
as the
but they're
you know
platforming him. He goes
boogeyman.
everywhere. Well, he
Yeah.
did. I'm pretty sure they're auditioning for the next one. Probably Nick Fuentes.
Oh yeah, no, Nick Fuentes is part of the manosphere, Allison.
Yeah, but they essentially every 5 years they get a new one, right?
Yeah, yeah,
They
and
for
again,
whatever
like
reason, these faces of the manosphere get stale after about 5 years, so they just manufacture a new one and they give
yeah,
them a platform, and everybody has to be like, "Oh, don't be like that guy."
yeah, yeah, exactly. And
Like, what
that's
am
all
I
it
going to
is.
lose?
It's all a way to discredit what we're
Yeah,
talking about.
exactly. Yeah,
So,
and what am I going to lose by saying this not my clowns, not my monkeys, not my circus? Simple
mhm.
as. Right? It's not I am agnostic on the Andrew Tate question. All right, moving on.
All right. Well, anyway, I'm just saying when they say manosphere, they mean us too. So broadly, they're anti-feminist, misogynistic, and anti-gender equity. No, I also want to talk about this a little bit.
Mm.
So they look at the what they're doing with the words here. They equate anti-feminist, misogynistic, and anti-gender equity. Okay. And so they're saying if you're one of these things, you're all of these things. It's the way that they put it out there, right? So they're like, because guys, like feminism is it's just the good thing to believe. Like, don't you believe in the good things? Are you not a good person that believes good things? Feminism is when good things. So don't
Don't
you
you?
like that? Are you anti the good things? Then you must be for the bad things. Like, this is the kind of childlike behavior, the childlike theories behind this.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So,
Yep.
and then they go misogynistic, which of course is, just the mainstream bludgeon. It's the bread and butter combo. And then anti-gender equity.
Because they don't
Uh,
want young men listening to people like us.
yeah.
And they so don't want it that they don't even mention us. I
Yep.
remember a while back they would. And then I think they realized, they make too much sense. You better not to start allowing these people in the public eye. This is a while
Yeah. It's
back.
not
Like
good
I
for
did a
us.
whole bunch of interviews, and Karen did even more. And I think we made too much sense, guys. That was the
Mm-hmm.
problem. I probably should have just become incoherent and then started ranting about some other random crap, and they probably would have gotten much more attention. Right? Just find another political thing to deal. This is what's important. Not actually recognizing men's issues and men's vulnerabilities and dealing with them. Right? If we rely on men so much, and we do, maybe we should help them out. Maybe we should make sure they have the things they need to be productive. What a radical thought, huh? No, that's not the
Yep.
message they want to hear. They want to hear a message of men's issues are not our problem. We don't have to. And you know why? Because they don't make money. They don't make, that's a simple, honest to
Mm-hmm.
God truth. They don't make money. They're not a good grift. And they don't give you clout. And for the narcissists and the sociopaths who are busy consolidating all of their power and money, they don't give good excuses to subjugate other people. Like they don't provide good virtue signaling so that they can smash and grab while you're admiring their halo, right? It's not a good enough lie because it isn't one. It's the truth. And that's what they're really afraid of. They're afraid of the truth exposing the entire edifice of bullshit that they have constructed. Right? That's what they're scared of. Right? And all of this is just an ideology protecting itself. It's just a religion calling out the heretics. Like when religion goes really crazy, like the Spanish Inquisition.
Sure.
Funny about the Spanish Inquisition, I don't know if people know this, there was a huge profit motive because they would accuse someone of heresy and then they take its money. There was a huge profit motive to the Spanish Inquisition. And yeah, they were essentially, and in many cases, it had absolutely nothing to do with faith or whether or not you were appropriately religious or even if you were engaged in any kind of heresy. It was because you were wealthy and you got on the wrong side of the wrong people. And then they would just steal your wealth and put you in. So we're basically in a Spanish Inquisition with fewer thumb screws. That's exactly what these people do. They're a smash and grab organization. And women's issues provide a lovely veil of virtue, and they turn people's brains off. It's astounding. You can turn a person into a drooling moron by simply saying, well, women are hurting somewhere. And then they lose all cognitive function. They turn into a zombie. And then you're like, yo, give me money. Listen to me. Do what I say. And then the women who are hurting, which I made up, will stop hurting. And people fall for it. It's like, if you have older relatives and you're sort of like a little scared because they aren't quite on the ball when a Nigerian prince sends them an email. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. And you're like, no, that is a con. This is the entire human race. The entire human race is like your great aunt with dementia being targeted by an entire army of Nigerian princes, and the Nigerian princes are feminism. And we're just being targeted by an entire army of con artists, and we just buy into it because it turns our brains off. As soon as women get harmed, our brains turn off, our wallets open, and we do whatever they say, like drooling morons.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm done.
All right. So anyway, let me see here. Broadly, the manosphere is centered on content can initially appear harmless. It presents information and insights on health, fitness, and financial and career success. But these are generally founded on rigid gendered ideas, extreme and isolating pursuits of self-optimization, and unhealthy ideas about relationships with girls and women.
Because it recognizes a gender dynamic in heterosexuality, basically. I see that they just completely gloss over men's issues. I think we're actually like a couple of generations behind or in the past. Now men are fighting just to be able to desire women and just to be able to identify as men. Set aside like shared parenting and actual recognition for male victims of domestic violence and sexual assault.
Circumcision and
yes. Let's say though, now men are at just identifying as a man.
We exist.
You exist. No, that's not allowed.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. I think that's on purpose. Like you can't begin to talk about the issues because you're still telling me that like manhood isn't even real. There's no such thing as a man, but there is such a thing as a woman because they're threatened by the men. So
you have to be careful there, Brian. There's no such thing as a man when it comes to any kind of vulnerability, but we do need a scapegoat. So men do exist.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah, exactly.
All right.
It makes sense.
New research has identified a shift in the manosphere towards monetization and entrepreneurialism, pseudoscientific wellness, and alignment with extremist ideologies. There's your Nick Fuentes stuff.
Oh, God. You know what this is? Now they're going after making a living.
Yeah. Yeah, entrepreneurial
You're a man?
is right up there with pseudo-scientific wellness, whatever that even
Well,
means.
they have they're going after natural stuff like,
Oh, like
I don't know.
people who are like excluding seed oils
Yeah,
and
and
they're going
also taking
carnivore.
supplements and
Yeah,
taking supplements.
yeah.
Like, honestly, this is really strange. I'm gonna put it out there. The only place I see white couples or white families in posters anymore are natural supplement and wellness like stores. I don't know if you've noticed that, but
No, I
yeah.
hadn't.
But anyway, so they're going after. They're even going after the homeopathy. They're going after any kind of supplements, like because they want you to be sick,
Yeah.
And this
Don't you
is the
believe in the science, Allison?
yeah, being healthy is patriarchal because it's like you're holding people to a standard of wellness. How dare, right? Yeah, so they're lumping this in, and it's because they want to go after that. They don't want people to have access to natural medicine. They want
Mm-hmm.
everybody to be cured with a vaccine and surgery and made, like at least in Canada. Surgery you can't actually get. You're on like a 5-year waiting list and made. So basically, we're down to vaccines and euthanasia. Those are going to be our options for health in the future. That's what they want to bring it down to. And
And
because
if you're against that, you're into pseudoscientific wellness.
you're a manosphere, it's even
Yeah,
worse.
you're in the manosphere
You're
and
in
you're
the
for
manosphere now,
pseudoscientific
guys.
wellness.
Welcome, welcome. You want to actually take vitamin D in the winter? You want to have your little white panel? Welcome to the manosphere. You don't want to get fit? Welcome to the manosphere. I hope you enjoy your stay. We could show you around. We've been here for a while. Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. And then, of course, extremist ideologies, which I don't know if they're going to go get into at all. They don't have to. They said the word extremist, so that should scare them.
Yeah.
Okay, users may encounter content documenting extensive morning routines beginning at 4 a.m. These videos can involve multiple wellness-related rituals, recommendations for preserving testosterone, and diatribes on
Oh,
men's
there you go.
natural roles as providers and families.
Oh, they're probably talking about like Bjorn. You remember like the Viking guy?
I don't think he talked about like testosterone levels and
Yeah, but
stuff.
they're smearing everything together.
Yeah.
But
Well,
if
there
you
are
want
again, it's like there are guys like there's a whole branch of like, these kind of fitness and wellness guys online, but there's also a lot of women on like there's plenty of that. Like, I've never
Mhm.
seen a dude buy a healing crystal, but
Yeah,
but nobody has a problem with that. Like, and I don't care, like whatever.
nor
But
nor are they saying the femosphere is promoting horrible gender roles and violence. Like,
no, no. They
no.
are the femisphere.
Well,
But
yes.
yeah, like it's a basically anything that is that men are doing on their own. That's what it just sounds like. Anything that men are involved in that isn't like approved by these people is the manosphere now. So like if you're like,
Yep.
"Oh yeah, I'm cutting carbs." Well, guess what, buddy? You're
You're in the
manosphere now.
manosphere.
Yeah.
Well, you mean it's the
Hey,
very
I'm gonna go
recognition.
get my T levels checked. Oh, sounds like manosphere talk to me, buddy.
Yeah, they're gonna
We're gonna have
have
to
to
get
start
you
going out
gonna get you
urologists.
processed in the ministry of not the manosphere.
Yeah, the ministry of not the penis people.
Yeah.
And
I mean,
it's like
it's
we've
ridiculous.
watched this for 13 years. They just go after everything.
Hmm.
Every place that men are, even the existence of men. They go after every bit of it. Even men having an identity as a provider, they can't stand that. Men should have no identity. They should have nothing positive to strive for. They should live in an existential acid bath for the rest of their lives. God, and then they turn around and say, everybody else is so mean.
Yep.
Bullies. All right. Let's read
All
some
right.
more.
All right. So new research has identified a shift No, I read that part. Users may encounter content documenting extensive morning routines. I already read that one too. Sorry. The manosphere adjacent content generated by trad wives and stay at home girlfriends
Oh,
glamorizes
he
an
did go
aesthetic.
after the women.
Yeah, now they're going after the women. And unrealistically
Unrealistically
curated
curated.
life.
Okay, what the hell is Sex in the City? Like an unrealistically curated life. You mean all of the stuff on single women in cities and all that?
Like
And
going to find themselves and
yeah, you're
become girl
going to find
bosses.
themselves, and the absolute lack of any kind of consequences that some man can't prevent them from having. That's not curated. Okay, all right, I'm done. You can
Yeah.
continue.
Unrealistically curated life. A woman performs a caring role in the home, eschewing feminist ideas and advocating for women's return to the domestic sphere. It's often connected to white supremacy and far right conservatism, of course. Yeah, gosh.
Everything is manosphere. In fact, this article is part of the manosphere in 10 years.
Yeah, right.
Everything
It's going to be in maybe 1 year. If there's
in 1
anything
year.
in here that like could
Well,
be
it
considered
talks
against the
about
grain later.
men. It talks about men like that's something that exists.
Yeah.
When all that exists is the patriarchy. And the penis people who are bamboozled by the patriarchy, but they can never not be bamboozled unless they have mental chips implanted that basically recite Andrea Dworkin in their brains 24/7.
Mm-hmm.
God, grief. All right.
All right. All right. So we're going after the women, and they're calling it white supremacy, even if it's a black woman that wants to be trad. Well, whatever. There's evidence boys can find manosphere content helpful and positive. So they gotta okay. So there is some good here, but now I gotta like twist it. Some seek validation and belonging in these spaces. This makes the need for them to engage with it critically even more prescient. Real world harm.
Okay, no, I got to get in there. You critically, you want young men to engage with content that's being presented to them critically. Not your content, though. You're absolutely correct. Even though there is no non-ideological body of science that has actually proven feminist premises correct. We are operating under the assumption that men oppress women, and there is no legitimate proof that they do so. So you want these young men to grow up with this attitude towards themselves and not have any critical thought about it. In fact, you probably are saying their critical thought should be applied to the things I'm saying. In other words, they should reject them on the face as wrong. Why? Why should we continue to accept this ideology? Why? Why should any of us continue to accept something that is so patently wrong? Right? So bullying, so nasty, so mean-spirited, so actually nothing like what it says it is. Right? Why do we need to continue to accept this? What is the reason? When there's no actual truth to it. Okay.
Yep.
Go ahead.
Real world harm. Research widely shows manosphere content causes harm both to the boys and men who consume it and to other people in their lives. Where's the research? Causes real world
you
harm.
want some
Okay, I
research?
hope they go into this.
The
What was that?
international body of evidence claim is basically gesturing at a loose pile of reports and studies from UN agencies, NGOs, governments, and academics that interpret online male spaces as a pipeline to misogyny, violence, or extremism, rather than one specific tight evidence base. So it's just a bunch of op-eds.
So there's a bunch of op-eds.
There's a bunch of
so it's exactly
op-eds
what I
by
said.
researchers.
So we've investigated ourselves and found the manosphere is going to kill women.
Yeah.
It's going to genocide women. Or
We're
something.
not saying that because it's just a retread of the thing we always say, which is women are going to be harmed. And we're not saying women are going to be harmed because it turns everyone's brains off, opens their wallets, and makes them do whatever we say. It's actually true this time, guys. It really is.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Oh God. Okay. Viewing manosphere content is known to contribute to unhealthy body image. It's also, I don't think so. Wait a minute. Let me back up. I don't think that's true. I think that women's standards might
Yeah.
contribute to unhealthy body image for boys. And I've seen it because I go to the gym with Lindsay, and we used to go to the gym like before I got cancer. And now that I'm like feeling, I got one more appointment coming up on the 29th for a CT scan to confirm that the cancer is like at least gone, completely. But we started going back to the gym, and I noticed a lot of guys, young guys in their like late teens, early 20s, that are like really putting their body through it to like get like shredded up, and you can tell they're using gear. They're using well, steroids. I don't know how else to describe it, because they get like this back acne. I don't know if you guys have seen this, but like if you use steroids, there's like you can get like all kinds of side effects. But they want to look a certain way, and a lot of these guys are kind of like like 5'7", 5'8", like they're
Mhm.
shorter. So I think that it's probably more likely that it's women's standards that are creating body image issues for young men, and
Well,
not the manosphere. I'm
what's the
almost certain that that's true. I'd die on that hill.
like why would they be doing it for Andrew Tate? Are they all being auditioning
Yeah, is
for
he gonna be
become
looking
his
at them like nice cock, bro?
yeah,
Like,
to
no,
become his
they're doing
cupbearer?
it for women. Yes.
His cupbearer, and
Yeah, they're
perhaps
trying to figure out
something
what women
else.
want,
Yeah, they're
and
doing
they're
it for
trying to
women.
like, yeah, square that circle.
Exactly. All right, I can go on a little bit about what they're pointing to. When they say there's an international body of evidence, they're likely bundling together things like UN level alarms about the manosphere as a global threat to gender equality and a driver of violence against women and girls. So the institutions that rely on everybody staying asleep about men's issues have said that the people who talk about men's issues, even tangentially or adjacent, or even just briefly, they're the ones who are the problem. What else would they say?
Mm-hmm.
NGO and quasi-government reports, example, Canadian Museum for Human Rights, UK Victims Commissioner, that describe the manosphere as networks normalizing digital misogyny, echo chambers, and gender-based violence, especially for boys and young men. Especially for boys and young men. So there's a recognition that some other group is engaging in gender-based violence. Okay, I guess we don't want to poke that particular rabbit hole. National or sector specific documents, education unions, mental health lobbies, ANROs claiming ANROs. Oh, you son of a bitch. You popped up here. Oh, guys, want to know what ANROs is? It's a feminist organization, domestic violence organization in Australia that has constructed a situation where men who are victims of domestic violence have to have something like 2 to 3 times the body of evidence as a woman who is a victim of domestic violence, and one counterclaim by their abuser negates it. That's ANROs. And they're saying they're creating equality. What kind of fucking equality is that? Right? What is the equality there? You are constructing a two-tiered justice system in which male victims of domestic violence are basically buried by a burden of proof that's absurd. Right? This is sorry, ANROS is a particular beef of mine.
Oh
Claiming
yeah.
manosphere content worsens attitudes towards women. Worsens attitude towards women and increases risk of harm in schools, relationships, or communities. Wow. Certainly, we should continue to support these institutions that engage in overt discrimination against boys and men when they are victims of sexual assault and domestic violence, because God forbid there be an increase in domestic violence and sexual assault against the people we actually give a fuck about. And you know what? I'm being generous when I say that these organizations give a fuck about female victims of sexual assault and domestic violence. They don't. They don't. They like them because they make money. They make
Yep.
money. They give them clout. They don't give a rat's fucking ass about them. They don't give a rat's ass about any victim. But female victims make them money. And they actually have embraced policies that ensure more women experience domestic violence. More women are stuck in those situations because otherwise they would have to question feminist orthodoxy. So there are interventions right now, practical interventions right now, that can reduce the rate at which women are victimized by domestic violence, but they're not being pursued. Oh no, because they threaten feminist orthodoxy. And by feminist orthodoxy, I mean the gigantic trough of money. The gigantic tsunami of money that they get for pretending women are harmed. Meanwhile, promoting those very harms that they profit off of. These people are despicable, right? Even if you don't care about men, you should really consider opposing them for women's sake. Because get this, if we actually had a science-based look at domestic violence that included the full scope of the information, we could probably do a lot more to make women safe and prevent harm. Lots more. But we can't, because guess who is stopping that? Guess what unscientific cretinous mass of bullshit is stopping an actual science-based look into domestic violence? Guess. And they know that means more women are victims of it. They know it. And they're fine with that because they advocate for women when it makes them money. Okay. Academic articles that frame misogynist online communities as gateways to the far right or violent extremism or conceptualize evidence-based misogyny within evidence-based misogyny? Conceptualize evidence-based misogyny.
What?
Academic articles
misogyny?
That conceptualize evidence-based misogyny with the manosphere. Well, we shared one, Brian. It was remember that puzzle that female.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's evidence-based misogyny.
Yep.
Also,
basically reality. The reality is evidence-based misogyny.
I would also guess that the evidence that men and women rape at approximately the same rate with a high degree of women raping men, that's probably also evidence-based misogyny. So we got a new category, guys. Hey, this is good, eh? Well, at least we got something new. Evidence-based misogyny. Are you an evidence-based misogynist?
I am an evidence-based misogynist.
I should create a badge. Evidence-based misogynist. Scientifically rigorous misogynist. Empirically sourced misogynist. Oh God. Okay, next.
All right, back to this.
Yeah, we're really going through this slow.
It's all right. It is kind of a big article though too. All right. Research widely shows manosphere content causes harm both to the boys and men who consume it and to other people in their lives. Viewing manosphere content is known to contribute to unhealthy body image. It's also correlated with beliefs about violence being permissible. Manosphere sentiments have been identified among men who use violence. Violence being permissible.
Let me look that up. Let me look that up and you keep going.
Okay. I feel like it's going to be like not necessarily violence against women, but that's why they're not saying violence against women. They're just saying violence. And instead it's reality. It's like, yeah, sometimes you got to use violence to protect yourself or, in defense of like your property or whatever. That's what I'm guessing it's going to be. But anyway, our own research into the influence of manosphere content on boys' behavior in schools has shown a shift in boys' attitudes towards women and girls. Teachers report a discernible uptick in incidents of gendered violence in their schools. Okay, well, so you have female teachers, most likely, who already agree with your worldview, and they're seeing interactions between boys and girls. And because words are violence and attitudes are violence, and opinions are violence, and science is violence, they are seeing violence. Just girls being uncomfortable is violence as well. And so, yes, they're going to see violence. I just don't believe you guys anymore. I just don't. And I don't care. I don't care. I don't think this is happening. There's also a video on this, but
that's the Australia one. You sent it to me. We could, like I said, we could do a series. We could cover the Australia one next time.
No, this is Australia.
No, it's Japan today.
No, Allison, this is that literally starts. The first word in the article is Melbourne.
Oh my!
Melbourne, Australia. This is the video for this article.
Oh, maybe we should have looked at the video. How long is it? Oh, 28 minutes. Holy shit! No, okay.
Yeah, it's long. I mean, we could, but we're not going to do it today. We could do it another time. It might be the same thing though. Okay. There's also emerging concern that manosphere content is contributing to a growing ideological shift among young men and young women. Across multiple countries, young men are voting more conservatively than they used to. Gasp. The humanity. Yeah. What? And again, you don't even have like a definition for that. You just know it's not the way you think they should vote, so you're just calling it conservative. So, further, there is abundant evidence that misogyny, a central theme in manosphere content, is a predictor of all forms of violence. That includes gendered and extremist violence. There's no, like, you're just making claims. You're just correlating things. There are growing calls to place misogyny at the center of There are growing calls to place misogyny at the center. Our efforts to counter and prevent extremist violence. That sentence doesn't make sense. I'll read it the way I think it should be written. There are growing calls to place misogyny at the center of our efforts to counter and prevent extremist violence. That makes more sense. This means acknowledging the role of the manosphere in the process of radicalization. Racist? Oh, so now we're talking about racism? That came out of nowhere, didn't it? Racist and misogynistic attitudes have also been identified as an urgent concern for national security, given they are significant contributors to violent extremism.
Okay, I was actually thinking about they use racism as a buttressing maneuver. But I was thinking about this because I watched women talk about being in the workplace. Well, feminist women. And one of the reasons why they said that it was an important shift was because they were, even, white liberal women opposed the forces of racism in the workplace. So they're legitimizing their own claims and expectations and what they want by saying that we were the only ones who could resolve this grave evil that men allowed to run rampant. So they are legitimizing, justifying things like the vote, workplace inclusion, even like forced workplace inclusion, forced vote too, I would say, forced workplace inclusion. And I say forced because the vote that women got was not the vote that men got. They got their own special category that was very special, that men would never have gotten. And all of these things forcing themselves into places, getting privileges without responsibilities, is justified because they protected the brown people, right? Mm-hmm. And that's a buttressing maneuver. So if people are like, well, I don't know, it seems like you screwed everything, ladies, they'll be like, but we got rid of racism. Did you though?
Yeah, I think I get that.
Yeah.
I think it's just another, like, these are all just methods of like establishing not just moral dominance, but a moral monopoly. Like, we have the monopoly on good. Mm-hmm. And they use these words to maintain it. And until people like realize that these words are only used for that and they don't actually describe anything that's worth talking about, that they're just going to keep doing it. And I think that what they're calling racism, misogyny, and all this other stuff, what they're calling those men that are in the manosphere that are sort of like looking at these young guys that are like frustrated, is that they stopped giving a shit about those words. Mm-hmm. They stopped giving a shit. Like, call us racist, we don't care. Because like what they're trying to do, like, basically, like, they want a better world. They have inherited a world that hates them, that's hostile towards them for being born what they are. And when they speak out, they call them this. They say you hate women, you hate gays, you hate blacks, whatever. You hate X group. That makes you a terrible person. Shut up, sit down. We're not going to give you a job. You can't afford anything. You don't deserve a woman. You should die alone and just like serve us, and be like a tax slave for the rest of your life. And then these guys are like, we're not doing that anymore. And we don't care about these words. They don't mean anything, guys. We have to stop using them. They're dead words, okay? I'm sorry. If you're a Gen Xer or a boomer, you got to get over it. It's over. Those are done. We're not doing that anymore. We're like, people want, these young guys, they want like real on the ground solutions that make sense, okay? And if you don't give that to them and you keep shaming them, I'm telling you, don't worry about like Nick Fuentes or Andrew Tate. Worry about who comes after that if you don't address this, because you can't get rid of these guys. You can't make them go away by calling them racist and sexist or whatever. That's not going to work. That's dead technology, okay? we need to address the real issues and have real, honest conversations. Full stop, okay?
Somebody was special in the special chat. Justo Dean says, who enforces the law? It's men. Exactly. You guys, feminists argue that men constructed society, right? And through their roles as providers and protectors, they constructed society for the benefit of men. And yet what do? They construct laws that discriminate against men for the benefit of women. Or at least the advocates who say they advocate for women, right? Okay, well, you've just disproven your own belief about the world, Justo Dean. You've just discredited yourself.
I'm not sure if he disagrees with us, but maybe he's trying to make a claim that men could just do something about it, but they're not going to.
No, unfortunately, men are too afraid of women's approval or disapproval. Like I'll put it right out there. That's what I see. It was like with that one article we read. I mean, it's getting better, I think, maybe with the newer generations, because they realize that what does playing that game get you? Really? What does playing the approval, disapproval game for women get you? It's not going to get you a wife. It's not going to get you a girlfriend. Most women, if they're not completely asexual at this point, are still going after the top 20, 10%. So, and if it does get you a wife or girlfriend, she might not be sexually attracted to you. She might just be after a meal ticket. And guys are realizing this. They're realizing that there's nothing on offer. The buffet is picked over, and the disapproval or approval of women is meaningless. It's meaningless. Like at this point in time, the meaning it has is purely punitive. They might get you fired. They might send you to jail. And that's a big thing, but there's no carrot anymore for a lot of men. And they've recognized that. And that's why I think we're seeing this bucking of the concern over the labels that women use to put men in their place. Okay. But, or people of this ideology to put men in their place. Okay. And what was I going to say? But still, men, like that last article is an example of this. Gen Z and millennial men. Now they were men who were trying to get jobs in Hollywood and media and academia. So they probably were liberal men, but they called out boomer and Gen X men for not fixing the situation at the same time as they all were terrified of actually being made public, of having these opinions, even though they didn't even have a career in these fields. Like they had nothing to lose, but they were still terrified of being that guy, the guy who's disapproved of by women. Well, that's the same dynamic that caused the problem in the first place. You think that Gen Z and boomer men aren't also afraid of being that guy, the one that women disapprove of? So they allowed all of this to happen, and it landed really much harder on the millennial and Gen Z guys. The millennial and Gen Z guys are doing the same thing. It's the same thing. You got to get over that, right? It's not really that big a deal. And you know what? As a woman, even I have that. It's like, oh, I don't want women to. I have an anecdote. Like I went to the city yesterday, and I went to Michael's, and I was getting myself a stretched canvas, as you do if you're an artist. And I don't know how they stacked those damn canvases, but I got my canvas. The whole freaking display fell over. And and not just that display, the display beside it fell over. So I spent a lot of time picking it all up, putting it back together. And then I went back for another one, but I was checking out and I realized we had like a 2-for-1 on those canvases. So I went back to get another one really quickly and it fell over again. And I'm like, fuck it. Like, I don't know what kind of goddamn magic the Michaels people use to keep those damn things up the first time. And I have struggled with this and now I'm under a time crunch. So I was walking away and some freaking boomer woman trottles over and says, "Are you going to pick those up?" And immediately I go back and start doing it. And then I'm like thinking, why am I doing this? Right? It's not my fucking fault that this thing is not, I do not know how to make this thing work.
Yeah.
And I just left it. I'm like, fuck it. Fuck you, fuck it. And even me, like even women like me and guys who are, you still get that twinge when a woman shames you, right? Everybody's like that. But you just got to say, fuck it. Fuck it. Right? I don't know how to get these things balanced again. I don't have the time to do it. Fuck it. You can think I'm a bitch. You can think I'm a white trash. You can think whatever you want, but I got to move on with my life. Let these women think whatever they want. What are you going to get? What are they going to take from you? Very little. Okay. Yeah. Unless your job is in the line. Yes, you can keep it quiet for the workplace Karens. Anyway, let's keep going.
All right. The next frontiers. Alongside the established evidence, we're seeing signs of where manosphere beliefs might manifest next, if they're not already. In relationships and dating, advice circulating in manosphere spaces will continue to frame intimacy in transactional and manipulative terms. This will erode trust and mutual respect while normalizing male entitlement in relationships.
Entitlement. Okay, lady, person, you wrote this.
Do you know what women are looking for these days? This is like completely divorced from reality. I'm sorry, Allison, go ahead.
Yeah. Well, not just what they're looking for, like statistical evidence of what they look. If men earned 158% more than the average single man did, they'd probably be married. And if a divorced man didn't lose his job, he probably wouldn't be divorced. These are the two biggest causal factors for getting married and getting divorced is money. I'm sorry. Relationships are apparently transactional, and men didn't make that rule. Right? The manosphere content is just men trying to live with the transactional nature that women created. And they're not going to admit that.
Nope, not in a million years. Transactional. So ridiculous. Women are the ones with the ick lists and like the ability to filter, like men by their height on dating apps, but okay. Over time, such messages risk reshaping or regressing expectations around dating, partnership, and consent. The manosphere frames work and study as competitive arenas. Discourses around high-value men and grind-set culture blame feminism or soft values for perceived failures or inefficiencies.
Okay, but that's in the men themselves. Like, I mean, I don't know. I don't know if the people who wrote this actually listened to us. I think we'd melt their brains. Because the manosphere content is saying it's effeminacy and feminism in the men. We're saying it's in the institutions. That's the problem.
Yeah.
Right? You see the difference? Like it's reframing it on men. Get rid of the feminacy. Get rid of the feminist leanings. No, I'm not going to say that to men. We need to get feminism out of our institutions. Well, I mean, honestly, the institutions are just going to fall, and through process of elimination and evolution, we're going to move away from that. But, we could just get rid of it now and see how it goes. That's what I would advocate for. I don't care if a man is a femboy. I don't care if he's a twink. I don't care if he sachets. Let's get rid of feminism from our institutions. I think that would actually melt these guys' brains. They're not ready for that. They're just offended at the idea that guys saying don't have limp wrists, dude. You know, just lift, bro.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. This narrative positions career success as a masculine duty while dismissing collaboration and diversity, with long-term consequences for equity in schools and workplaces. So
how is this going to have any consequence for equity? You guys have got that sealed up. Like, I mean, are these boys that threatening? They're probably, like, we've just gone over how they're not going to get into academia. They're definitely not going to be getting into HR. Where are these boys who are going to just somehow?
They're already not getting into those places.
Yeah.
So they're already excluded.
Yeah.
And then when men, what I think the manosphere broadly would support is men get like becoming entrepreneurial, like basically not getting into a company that's going to treat them like a wage slave with an HR department that's always looking for a reason to get rid of him. They'd rather just make their own thing happen. And these people want men in the bureaucracy. We want them working as a worker bee in the giant corporate, bureaucratic, feminist friendly, HR run, corporate culture. And men that don't want to do that, well, they don't want to collaborate. They don't want diversity. They're not interested in equity. That's what they're doing. They're saying, men, why are you out here doing your own thing? What's the grind set? That's like again, it's building your own wealth on your own without these people meddling in your business. That's what they're against. They want men in the bureaucracy. They want them doing their part.
Yeah, but here's the thing: long-term consequences for equity in schools and workplaces. This is like literally the femosphere has locked all of that down.
Yeah.
Right? They've got the barbed wire. They're monitoring the perimeter with their Stasi. Like there's nothing squeaking through. So and now they're saying, well, if boys actually develop a sense of themselves as boys and start to value things like competition and striving, there could be a problem. Like, where are these guys going to end up in HR? Are they going to end up in academic positions? No, they're just going to be striving in their jobs. Like, this is insane. This is the ravings of like some villainess in a tower on her throne, screaming at a mirror and saying, find me the things that could threaten my rule. And the mirror is showing them some peasant boy, playing in the mud. Filthiness somewhere in my perfect realm. It's like, you guys are insane. You are so evil. You have gone nuts. Okay.
Yep. It is nuts. All right. This narrative. Oh, no, I already read that part. Finally, manosphere narratives of crisis and decline dovetail with populist politics. In the United States, remember, this is Australia. They're like a world away. I don't know why they would give a shit about what's happening here. They have their own problems. But okay, let's talk about the United States. In the United States, aggrieved male voters have been central to Donald Trump's rise, attracted to his performance of strongman masculinity. See, now, okay, obviously they're going to bring him up. Sorry, guys. I know you're tired of hearing about him. But isn't it interesting that early in the article, they talked about how the manosphere is like in bed with white supremacy. And the guys that got Trump into the office, it was Latino men and black men that came out in like high numbers, especially the Latino men. So they can't square that circle. So they're just going to like say it and hope nobody looks into it or ask the question. So yeah, it was men that came out because they were tired of the insanity. That's the only reason. And that was good enough. I'll take it. So strongman masculinity. Again, if we just take that on its own, like in isolation, what's wrong with that?
Also,
like, what's wrong with strongman masculinity? They hate that stuff.
Well, they hate all masculinity.
Them. That's why.
They hate literally all masculinity.
Yeah.
Okay. any masculinity that opposes them, strongman or other.
But that's why they call it strongman masculinity, Allison. Like that, the adjective is irrelevant. It's masculinity they're going after, but they add strongman in the beginning because they want you to refute the strongman part, but you're not paying attention to the fact that they're not going after that. They're just using that. So like, I embrace the strongman part. Fine, sure, that's great. Now what? That's how I see it. Okay, strongman masculinity, sure, go ahead. Fascist masculinity, okay, yeah, that's what it is. Now what? What are you gonna do about it? That's where I'm at right now, because this is all emotional manipulation. I'm not doing this anymore.
Okay.
I'm not doing it.
I just want to point something out. All right. Okay. The decline is obvious. Okay. Everywhere where women have dominated in academia has suffered from a massive decline in the ethics and reliability of academia, right? Everywhere they've gone and they've dominated now publishing is probably in a terminal decline, and it may take the novel with it. Like I've been doing a whole bunch of scraping on the internet data to look into this, but we're seeing a complete collapse, and it is not because people's attention spans are so short. It's because the product is subpar. It doesn't function the way it is supposed to. And it doesn't function the way it is supposed to because women who are accountable to nobody and don't listen to anyone about how the industry functioned now dominate everywhere in it. And it's in a death spiral that they can't get out of because everybody's too risk adverse, right? This is happening in every industry, crashing and burning. And even like if you look at AI, which is probably male dominated, it is suffering from this kind of almost like cynical, nihilistic God complex because they think somehow AI is going to solve things. And I'm like looking at it and I'm like thinking, so AI replaces human beings. Why would you do that? We have plenty of human beings. Like we're not lacking in human beings. Why would you replace them?
Yeah.
And I think that part of it is that a lot of these tech bros are in this mindset of being the one good man who is going to save the bloody universe. And that itself is a manifestation of the toxicity between men and women. Right? So it's across the board. The shittiest decisions are being made because we got rid of the masculine toolkit, which ends up getting rid of the feminine toolkit too. And now we're just operating on the narcissist, sociopath, God complex toolkit. God help us. God help us all. All right. Next part.
All right. All right. So yeah, narratives of crisis. So they're calling it narratives of crisis. Oh, men aren't having problems. Men are the problem. Similar dynamics may surface elsewhere as leaders draw on themes of protection, grievance, and a return to traditional order. So all of this, okay, we got the fear mongering out of the way. So now we're going to get to their solutions. Let's see. I'm not going to read it. What do you guys think it's going to be? What do you think they're going to propose? Where do we go from here? What do you think they're going to say? Let me know in the comments. I'm going to say they're going to say something like, we need to have a conversation about a conversation. We need to respond to this threat and censorship. We got to ban them. Australia loves banning things. They're big on censorship. They're big on that. So, okay. But anyway, where to from here? The danger with manosphere content is that it exaggerates and exploits real and perceived problems, issues, and grievances among boys and men. Oh, so men have problems, but the manosphere is they're the wrong people to deal with this.
Like this article is demonstrating how the femosphere will give you a warm embrace and tend to your problems.
They're clearly the best qualified.
Okay, like seriously, guys, if you're a man who's wondering, consider whether or not the person writing is going to acknowledge and suggest dealing with your problems. Like I've had this argument with feminists in the past. Like they would say things like, well, men, the patriarchy prevents men from getting domestic services. And I would say things like, why don't we just pay for them? Right? Why do we have to change an entire social organization before men get shelters or whatever they need when they're victims of domestic violence. Why don't we just pay for that? And they're like, but the patriarchy. And I'm like, no, it's you. You have your fingers on the purse strings, and you guys are the ones who are preventing any practical solution. And you are creating a camouflage for that by saying, actually, no, it's patriarchy that's preventing it, when it is you. Like, it is so infuriating. And that's the thing. Just listen to these people. Do they acknowledge that men might not always be the problem? Like when they say, what is it they say? The danger with manosphere content is that it exaggerates and exploits real and perceived problems. Exaggerates. What do you mean by that? What do they mean by this? Exaggerates. Do you mean we say things like, there is a problem, we should fix it? Is that exaggerating the problem? Is exaggerating the problem, anything that beyond just acknowledging the problem and then saying, but the real issue is how this affects women, and anything else is exaggeration? Like, maybe we should do something about it. That's an exaggeration. Maybe we should recognize these problems as legitimate on their own without constantly appealing to how they affect women. That's exaggeration. Is the stuff that I'm saying exaggeration? In other words, if a society progressively and systematically ostracizes the psychological toolkit of half of its evolved members, it's going to have a problem? Is that exaggeration? I don't know. Look around. Like, I think that our society is sort of entering the pain here. So we're going to have a proof in the pudding moment.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Next paragraph.
All right. Yeah, so where to from here? This means it's becoming increasingly confusing to distinguish what are legitimate and reasonable concerns among young men, what has been manufactured, and how victimhood can be constructed by manosphere ideologies.
Oh, throw it all out then. Any claim, any issue that men face, let's just throw it out. We can't be sure that it isn't exaggerated, and we'll be the ones who determine that, right? We'll be the ones who determine how much of men's issues we should take care of. It's like the fox determining how safe the hen house is. No, don't put that extra chicken. That extra chicken wire is unnecessary. That's an exaggeration of the dangers of foxes. Oh, you know what? Actually, even having an enclosure that is fox-proof, that's an exaggeration of how dangerous foxes are. Get rid of that. These people are despicable.
Yeah. Also interesting that they would say the manosphere promotes a kind of, masculinity that's like, toxic and stoic and tough and all of this, but also they're trying to manufacture victimhood.
And also, we promote men being able to accept their vulnerabilities and victimhood and cry, but we deeply suspect,
on our terms.
Yeah, on our terms, we deeply suspect anything that men really have to cry about. Like, we don't believe that men should cry, but there's nothing they really have to cry about. So shut up.
Yep.
Women have it worse. Men cry, women have it worse. Okay, next paragraph.
All right. Explicitly honing young people's critical digital literacy is an approach committed to empowering young people to become more discerning, to question not only what they are viewing, but its ideologies, how it makes them feel, and how platforms are designed to provoke particular responses. Honing young people's critical digital literacy is an approach. So they're going to try to brainwash your children away from manosphere content or content they don't like, basically. That's what I'm guessing.
Yeah,
they're going to teach them skills to avoid content that disagrees with the hegemonic zeitgeist these people pushing out.
Do they realize that reality is manosphere content? Like, the manosphere isn't coaching.
They live in a hyper real illusion of the world, which is how they want it to be, and they're going to make everybody live by that. That's what this is. They're trying to force us to live under their. It's not reality. It is an illusion, and we all have to accept the illusion. If we all accept the illusion, then it becomes real.
Yeah. the reality is that young men experience being treated like second class citizens. They experience things like being abused, being raped and sexually assaulted. In fact, there's more and more young men who are being raped and sexually assaulted by this incredibly violent, sexually violent generation of young women that we have constructed. Chauvinistic, like incredibly sexually entitled, violent young women. So more and more young men are experiencing sexual violence and also experiencing being forced to take responsibility for the sexual violence of other men. Meanwhile, women's sexual violence is a non-starter. So they're more experiencing more of that. They're experiencing more of the domestic violence that isn't being addressed. They're experiencing overt discrimination, right? All of this. And in previous generations, most men, if they towed the party line, could probably have a woman. Now they don't even get that. And every time they try to understand what makes them attractive to women, like a bisex species sort of wants, they want to be attractive to the opposite sex, they get beaten down as being wrong. And they're only allowed to pursue being attractive to women along very specific, vetted vectors that feminists approve of. But women don't actually find attractive. And they have pressures that they have to live up to in terms of women's expectations, looks, height, money, a certain personality type. And they have to live up to these expectations to have a chance. But we can't talk about them. If they ever talk about them, in order to develop the skills to live up to them, they're toxic, misogynist, manosphere freaks, right? They're experiencing this whole squirming ball of fuck. And that is their reality. And that is what's pushing them towards trying to find out what is actually going on. And yes, media has pumped up like manosphere content that will acknowledge that there are problems, but then just go right back onto, but you need to man up. And it actively suppresses the real, like the stuff that really opposes the narrative, which is us, which is society has to take responsibility for how it treats its sons, or society is going to collapse. That's not a message they want to hear. They want to continue to cash these free checks. And it's boys and men who have to cover the balance. Like, they just want to continue to do that. They don't want to make any changes because too many people's careers are reliant on that. I see this every time Michael Flood swans into my mentions. He's a feminist professor, big in ANROS, by the way. Right? He's part of ANROS. Well, he's gotten a grant from ANROS. Maybe I shouldn't say part of. He's gotten a grant for ANROS to talk about male victims of domestic violence. Good Lord. But yeah, he's a career feminist. There's too many people whose career relies on this narrative. So we're going to keep drilling boys. And that's what it is. People don't want to change because they get money for this. And they're just going to keep inflicting this nastiness on boys and forcing boys to ignore reality and expecting boys to cough up more sacrifice so that they can maintain their fucking money. And here's the other thing. Boys are facing an economy so crippled by government spending and corporate bullshit, like corporate government collusion, that they may never get a job. So they have to expend what's left of their self-worth. They have to hand it over to these career feminists so that the career feminists can feel legitimated, can feel self-righteous as they exploit them and women, as they exploit everyone. It is, as I said, a squirming ball of fuck. And unfortunately, not many people want to hear that.
Yep.
Okay.
All right, I got a Rumble rant from NovaFan 21, gives $1 and says, feminist article, men are being tricked into believing values that worked in a society far more successful than we are in today. Men, oh no, that's terrible. Tell me more so I can avoid it, yeah? All right, thank you. I mean, they're looking for answers that these people hate. So, not even a guarantee that what it is they're reaching for is going to work. But it doesn't matter. These people want them back on the plantation, effectively.
Yep.
So, all right. Explicitly honing young people's critical digital literacy. I already read that part. I'm sorry.
Ugh.
These skills promote the development of critical dispositions, essential lifelong skills that will help them to consume information in a more informed, less reactive way. Critical literacy in kids helps them to become adults who are informed and discerning, and therefore empowered.
Bullshit. All of this, none of this stuff has any scientific legitimacy. None of it. Listen to this. What? Okay. There's no single clearly cited data set that directly supports that exact wording. That was, the exact wording was manosphere sentiments have been identified among men who use violence. Okay. This article is lying. There's no evidence for that. It doesn't exist. Like, I'll go down to the conclusion here. There is not in the material that they surface, so anything related to that sentiment, a single well-defined data set that justifies the strong categorical claim that manosphere sentiments have been identified among men who use violence. So they're outright lying to their audience, and they're talking about critical thinking. Critical thinking starts with believing things that are empirically sound, none of which is in this article. These are frauds, fraudsters. They present the idea that they have some kind of true knowledge about the world, and they don't. They are lying to everyone. And it's like we've gone past anything human, and we're now in a society run by liars and shysters and psychos. This is just lying. And what at the end of the day are they going to get? Like, if boys look at the world through their lens, which is basically denying reality, because again, there isn't like manosphere people on a corner, like with like a trench coat saying, hey, little boy, I got something you'd like to see, huh? That's ridiculous. That's not what's happening, right? They are experiencing being treated like second-class citizens and being told that they're privileged, and they are trying to square the fuck circle. Okay? You are outright lying to them about reality. You are pissing on them and calling it, saying it's raining, right? And they are noticing this because you can't keep this cognitive dissonance, right? I am being told I'm privileged, and yet in every single circumstance, I have to concede to the girls and women in my life and take responsibility for the behavior of men who I have no control over, right? That's what's creating the problem, is the dissonance. And the dissonance is sending them somewhere to get an explanation. Okay? You're making this problem. You are creating this problem because you're expecting boys to believe something that contradicts their lived reality, as you would like to say, as these people like to say.
Lived
Right?
experience, right?
Lived experience, right? You're expecting them to believe something that contradicts their lived experience. And also, you're expecting them to tolerate you as somebody who is in power over them, treating them as lesser while being told that they're the ones who have power. Cognitive dissonance city. So they're trying to find an explanation for it. And then they go online. You are driving them into it. And the only way, like this critical reading of manosphere content, how are you going to manage that? Like if they are looking for an explanation for why you're lying to their faces, I don't think anything you tell them is going to help unless it's the truth. And nobody's going to tell them the truth because, guys, boys, your mental health and well-being is irrelevant. These people want justification for why they get to continue to be paid.
Yep.
So they'll just create a bunch of lazy bullshit that paints a target on you. God, I wish we could talk to more people. I wish we had more of a reach. No, instead it's Andrew Tate.
Yep.
Okay.
Well, that's the end of the article. So,
Oh, is it?
yep.
Oh, I thought there was more crap. No.
No,
Well, we could look
no,
at
there's
the
nothing else.
comments.
You want to look at the comments? They seem to mostly be critical.
Yeah.
Mostly. I mean,
What's the most critical?
the most critical? I don't know. I haven't read them all, but I mean, like,
Oh,
there's
here. Ebison. Here. I'll read this one because you've been reading the whole thing.
yeah,
Probably so that you're actually heard. Like,
that's okay.
Evison, JT, I make a deep promise that the next time I see a female roofing hammer in hand, for example, installing solar panels or protection tiles on a tilted roof on 40 degrees Celsius, I'll stop and seriously consider her perspectives on job equality. Just for reference, I've never seen one, as well as I've never seen them in many other manosphere and sexist jobs. No better topic for a Monday morning when some men go and do some gender-specific jobs women won't touch with a mile-long pole. And that's the thing, like, we have a group of people we 100% rely on for the continuing function of our society. I'm sorry, women's jobs are optional. The only women's job that isn't optional is giving birth, really, at this point. And we spend no time thinking about how to make sure they're happy with what they're doing, or at least content, or at least feel some satisfaction in doing it. I mean, think about that, guys. We spend more time thinking about how to raise boys to kiss feminist academic ass than we'd spend thinking about how, hey, you know, those men who do everything that keeps our lives possible, maybe we should think about making sure that they're content with what they're doing, you know, making sure that they have what they need, making sure they're not going to be destroyed in a divorce, right? Nope. No. That's unacceptable thought. You know, actually caring about the
Yep.
people who make sure we have a world. Who would do that? They don't deserve it. That's entitlement. No. We need to care about feminist academic lives. Feminist academic lives matter. Don't you know? That's what society should be structured around. Making sure feminist academics don't feel bad about themselves and don't lose their tenure. Oh, like really, it feels like society. That's what society revolves around at this point. Okay.
Yep.
No, XN the band. Not even 9 a.m. on a Monday morning, and there's already an article criticizing men and masculinity. And XN the band says, no one is criticizing all men and male masculinity. Really? Well, name a positive aspect to masculinity. You don't need to take things so personally. No, it's just his. Nobody's criticizing all trans people. You don't need to take anything so personally. Nobody's criticizing all women. You don't need to take things so personally. This article, nobody's criticizing all black people. You don't need to take things so personally. This article about these manosphere clowns who peddle their ridiculous brand of toxic masculinity that actually hurts men too. Okay, I bet XC and the band cannot identify a single positive masculine trait that he or she associates with masculinity in the same way he or she associates toxicity. So basically, when he or she says toxic masculinity, that's redundant. They peddle their
Yep.
ridiculous brand of masculinity, period. They peddle masculinity. We don't even need brand of. They're ridiculous masculinities. This is what this person is actually saying. The article is about these men who peddle their ridiculous masculinity that actually hurts men too. Right? And it's right out of the playbook from all of the feminist educators of the 90s who basically say masculinity is something that patriarchy inflicts on boys, right? And if patriarchy wasn't so horrible to boys, boys would be like girls, almost identical, except they would have penises. I mean, not forever. As soon as we convince them to cut them off, then they'll be perfect. Okay.
Yeah.
Do you want to close it off?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I think we've done
We've done
a
our
sufficient
shift.
a sufficient job of um I don't know if unpacking is the right
Annihilating
word,
it.
but
Annihilating it, I think.
yeah.
Oh, good Lord.
Bottoming out on it.
Bottoming out?
Um yeah, bottoming out.
You know what? At the interest of being lol cow, I think this is worth bottoming out on.
Yeah, vomiting out on. Yeah.
Vomiting out.
But yeah,
Oh God.
it's just I just think it's funny because it's like no matter what part of the world, it's the same story. It's like men, the story is the same everywhere, and that just doesn't sound organic. I mean,
No.
I know we live in a more interconnected society because of the internet, but none of this sounds natural to me. I think that there's just like a giant op, a gay
Yeah.
op on the whole West from all of these people, and they all talk to each other, and they're all friends, and they all know each other. They go to the same parties, and they're all just like, "So, how are we shitting on men this month? You know,
Yeah.
who's the new boogeyman we're gonna bring up?"
Yeah.
And that yeah, they all coordinate on this stuff. It's just like the gamers are dead articles from Gamergate. It's the same thing.
Although I would say that, like, if I were to give this a threat narrative analysis, the thing that they're trying to neutralize is, let me see, it is right there. The danger with manosphere content is that it exaggerates and exploits real and perceived problems, issues, and grievances among boys and men. These people will never recognize these things because they interfere with their slush, the flow of money.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's as simple as that, guys. This is like, it's as simple as that. Your pain, your suffering, not blaming you, like occasionally getting a break from being blamed, all the issues that you face, which are also actually society issues, because eventually if you screw with the people who are men who are manufacturing what makes society possible to a sufficient degree, you are actually destroying the thing that makes society possible. Do you guys understand the logic there? Right? So they don't want to recognize this stuff out of incredibly short-term thinking. This isn't even like, some old evil dude on his throne who at the very least wants to maintain the stability and prosperity of his kingdom because he enjoys getting taxes, right? That isn't even this. They're in smash and grab. They're in looting mindset. This is not sustainable because it's destroying the very thing it feeds on, which is a productive male tax base, right? It's destroying it. It's de-incentivizing it. But they're still doing it because right now it makes them money. They don't need taxes. They can just get BlackRock grants and money from the government. You know, that's where it's at, right? And that's just printed out of nowhere. Nobody has to be productive to get that. It's just you just make another treasury bond. Who cares if the rates are going through the roof? Who cares? It's money, it's free money. And they're making free money because people lose the ability to think critically once you say, well, women are being harmed. And if you point out, well, wait, also men are being harmed, then people's critical thinking kicks in again. And they're like, well, okay, I don't know if I want to help with that. But if we have to, then we should probably do something that ends it quickly so we don't have to spend too much money on men. They don't want that. They want people without critical faculties so they can continue to gorge themselves at the trough of money. And that's what it comes down to. This individual is trying to maintain a threat narrative that is incredibly lucrative. This threat narrative is probably trillions worth of money, not to mention all of the jobs and credentials and positions that it upholds. Right? It's huge. What's bunch of boys? What's a bunch of boys killing themselves or not actually finding jobs or quiet quitting? What's a whole generation of lost boys when it comes to making money, right? And
Yep.
in the worst way possible. I'm not talking about like small businesses or entrepreneurship. I'm talking about lying to people and government graft and corporate bullshit, HR bullshit. Like this is sick. and they're trying to push this sickness on boys. It's like that one woman, the Democratic Republic or Democratic representative. Remember Sarah something? Sarah Stalker, I think. And
Go ahead.
is that the correct name?
I'm not sure. I'm
Okay.
not sure who you're talking about, but go ahead.
Well, she said, "Oh, I sometimes don't feel good about being white."
Oh, yeah. I know who you're talking about, but I don't know her name. She went viral recently for.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she said, "I don't always feel good about being white." And it's even worse. Like, I'm just a white woman. Think about all the white boys that I have
Mm-hmm.
control over and how ashamed they should feel and how ashamed I tell them they should feel. And of course, it's totally justified me telling these boys how very ashamed they should be for being boys because I feel ashamed for being white sometimes when it's aesthetically pleasing to me. And that's the thing. Like, it's just, they're doing it because they
Her
make money
strength
off.
is her perceived weakness.
Yeah, it's a threat narrative.
Yeah.
Well, and it's also her perceived virtue because she's very virtuous. She's like
Yeah.
caning herself.
Yep.
She is self-harming for the sake of being perceived to be more virtuous than everybody else, except she really isn't self-harming. She's just harming other people. Because it's meaningless to say, "Oh, I feel guilty about my white privilege." Really? What are you doing about it? No, nothing. I just feel guilty. Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. That's very not useful. Your feelings, whether or not they're negative or positive, are not relevant to actually changing problems. And if you're going to say this is a problem, so all I'm going to do is just marinate in my feelings, not do something about it, then yeah, you're just self-stimming. And then the other thing is you're using your self-stimming to justify harming other people. And that's the point. They use their affectation of victimhood to justify harming the people we rely on, the men we rely on in our society to continue to function. And I don't see why we need these people. Does anybody?
Nope.
Like, what are they there for? What are they there for? Except to suck up money and harm people. But yeah, it's that affectation of virtue that gives her justification to shame everyone else. It's classic. And yeah, this is the threat narrative. They're trying to associate recognition of harms done by these people, mostly to men and boys, with the manosphere in order to throw it all out, to delegitimate it and try to make boys ignore the reality of their own eyes. It's despicable. Oh, Stephanie Westcott is a lecturer in humanities and social sciences, Monash University. Stephen Roberts is a professor of sociology, School of Social Sciences, Monash University. Incidentally, these people have never done an actual day's work in their life. And I'm not even saying that academics can't work. Academics can work if they're actually doing something of benefit to someone, not just lying and then and then putting it through like a statistics computer to pretend like they're doing real work. Right? I'm not against thinking work, obviously, but these people they don't work a day in their lives. They make shit up and they pretend it's academically valuable, and then they lie to people. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Do you want to add anything? I think I really talked a lot today. Maybe it's my frustration with WordPress.
Yeah. No, I think I said what I wanted to say. I did say a few things. But
yeah, I mean, it's like people have said, how do you do this? How do you continue with this work? I've had people like they say I had to go because it was so hard to listen to. And I'm like, well, we've been doing this for 13 years. How hard do you think it is? But the truth is that every time I get, like I'm tired of this bullshit. And I actually blew up at Joseph Watson, Paul Joseph Watson, because
yeah.
because there was this one clip where these pink ladies were like, and we have to deal with our own sex pests in England. Why do we have to import more? And I'm like, so you are insulting your own men And what are you expecting from them? To protect you. And nobody, no offense, but the conservatives who say things like they do not call women out for shit like that. Like, maybe if you want the protection of your own men, you should protect them socially when it comes to all the censure and condemnation they're getting from the side that's importing all these individuals. And also, you shouldn't be overtly insulting them like that. And I'm pretty sure there are a lot of female sex pests in the UK. Of course, we cannot talk about that at all. But anyway, so I'm like, this is so aggravating because there really isn't a political, there's no political home for just saying we got to stop blaming men, and got to start caring about their issues. And we got to stop separating them into freaking groups and just say, hey, all of their issues, all men. Okay?
Yeah.
And let God sort out the remainder, right? And it does get frustrating, but then the website goes down and I have to spend a day or a couple days wrestling with WooCommerce or Zapier. And let me tell you, the existential horror of dealing with plugins and all of this other crap and ridiculous help from AI bots now, that the sheer pain and like it's nihilism. Like dealing with that crap just creates nihilism, and it's like a reset. And then I come back to men's issue and I'm like, oh yeah, it's not that bad. At least I'm not wrestling with WordPress. So there you go. That's my secret. Okay, so last chance, Brian.
For what? No, I'm good.
Okay, good. All right. Feedthebadger.com/justthetip. Send a message in. Do it last second. I want to see if it's still working. If you get it in really quick, it might actually go through in time.
Yeah, go for it. See if we can do it.
Yeah. See if you can get it in really quick here. Somebody do that. Oh, someone did. All right. No, that was
so?
No, that was like a long time ago. What the hell?
Yeah, Richard Pierre sent one earlier. I read it.
No, I got to poke the voles because somebody else sent something through. Unless it's no, it might not. That might not be a super chow thing. Hold the uh-ohs. We'll see.
All right.
Yeah, we'll see. I'll take a look. Sorry, I've got to go through, like I got a billion tabs. Is it? Yeah, it is a super chow. Okay. So the voles need to be poked. And they have been poked. Has it popped up? No.
Nope, not yet.
Rod.
Just give it a sec. It'll be fine.
Yeah, the site is really slow too. I put in an update, so they should be sending an update for the PHP. So it might be that's making everything go so damn slow. Anything yet? All right, what are you doing, site?
Nope.
No.
Nothing yet.
So I'm gonna open this up because I'm gonna make sure we get to it. But it's gonna take a while, so.
No problem.
Yeah. Okay. So feedthebadger.com/justthetip if you want to send us a message. As soon as the site gets updated, this should go faster, I think. Richard went through fine. And all of my tests.
I don't know. It's as far as I know, it's all just magic. It works or it doesn't work. There's no logic to it. At least that's what it seems.
It might just be a it might actually just be like $5. So, and with no comment. Oh yeah, it's Albatross.
Albatross says I sent one a while ago. Did you have a message to go with it?
Yeah, there doesn't seem to be a message in there. You might not have put a message in. So thank you for the $5. I mean, we did criticize what you were saying, so thank you for the $5. Very much appreciated. Oh, didn't we? Oh no, that was Albert Renita Recho. Never mind. Sorry, Albatross. Okay, no, it's not coming through. I didn't see a comment, Albatross. So if you did, just put it through the actual. Okay,
What?
just put it through the actual. Put it through the actual like chat, and we'll read it out if you've got one. I'll give you a few minutes to do that. Yeah, that's about it. So feedthebadger.com/just the tip if you want to send us a message. We are doing our monthly fundraiser. It's getting pretty close to the end, so I think we got like 12 days left. Feedthebadger.com/support. Very much appreciated if you help, because I think this message is really critical. I feel like the logic is really sound. We need to start caring about the people who carry society. And if we don't, we might just lose that society. And that's not going to be fun. I mean, it could be that we just lose the institutions that do this bullshit and we grow something better, which would be great. But presumably those institutions should probably know they should also not like ignore the people who make things happen and make sure we all have heating and lighting and electricity and everything. All right. So feedthebadger.com/support to support that message. And I'm going to hand it back to you, Brian.
Okay, well, if you guys like this video, please hit like, subscribe if you're not already subscribed, hit the bell for notifications.
Albatross came through. I said that
Okay,
women,
cool.
feminists, and activists demand a level of perfection
I
and
don't
comfort
see
that
it.
probably will never exist. It's in the chat. You're right. Yeah, no,
Oh,
they do.
I said that women, feminists, and activists demand a level of perfection and comfort that probably will never. No, it can't exist. It's utopian, but they believe again. They believe that if everyone has the same vision and they share in that vision, then it becomes real because we got everybody to agree. And the problem with that is it's an illusion. Like that's not. It's like the illusion of equality. There's no such thing. There's justice, there's fairness, but there's no equality. That's not real. Men and women are different, right? Different people are different. People are different from themselves on different times of the day. I'm not equal to myself in the morning. So like that's and it's a pipe dream. And you might say, oh, that's pedantic, but no, this is what these people really believe. This is how they operate. This is what they operate under, okay? They are trying to construct a reality, and the only way it works is if everyone participates, and that's impossible. It's not just, even if you think it's well intentioned, it's not possible. And there are people who will legitimately not go play along, and they'll exploit you because they think they realize that you're being ridiculous. So yeah, I mean, it's not just something that probably won't exist. It's a lie. It can't exist. You can't have heaven on earth. That's why it's a different place. Okay.
Yeah.
And they
well, and also what kind of heaven would they
possible.
create?
So it's utopian from the get-go, from level 0. And this is the thing that and they won't accept that because these people, they have known nothing but fear. Like they're afraid of men. They're afraid of half the population. That's their whole world, is fearing the opposite sex. Even if they're like, cynically just using all of this to make money, which I know is true, and secure themselves, but they're terrified at the end of the day of like the world because it's not the way they think it should be.
Okay.
And that's just, I mean, yeah, it's not, and it's going to get everyone, it's getting people killed. This vision, this lie.
Well, it's because it's not utopia. Is it utopia if you sacrifice the well-being, the autonomy, the mental health of half the human race to achieve it? Like, is it utopia and maybe that's the existential horror of men's issues, because men's issues give lie to their supposed utopia, which justifies everything that they do. And I know that there are a lot of women who are afraid of men, but I'm not sure how much is real and how much is just affected, or how much is just hysteria that they talk themselves into. But ultimately, that it's not even a utopia. Like, it's like sacrificing half the human race to gain your utopia, and not just sacrificing them once, but turning them into a permanent slave underclass for your utopia? Is that a utopia?
It
By
is
what
for them.
measure? But
Hey,
what?
yeah. No, if you like it, if you suck it up and like it, then it works. That they don't, yeah, like their comfort is more important than yours. There is no real utopia. Like it all comes, with the price of like blood and death and starvation and all of that. But I mean, they all thought it was going in, and these people are no different.
Okay. Again, feedthebadger.com/just the tip if you want to send a message. Feedthebadger.com/support if you want to help us out. I will do a final look, see what's going on, and I'll hand it back to you, Brian. Just a sec. Okay. Yeah, just go for it.
All right. Like I said, if you guys like this video, please hit like, subscribe if you're not already subscribed, hit the bell for notifications, leave us a comment, let us know what you guys think about what we discussed on the show today, and please, please, please share this video because sharing is caring. Thank you guys so much for coming on today's episode of Maintaining Frame, and we'll talk to you guys in the next one.
Men's rights activists are machines, dude. Okay? They are literal machines. They are talking point machines. They are impossible to fucking deal with, especially if you have like a couple dudes who have good memory on top of that too. Holy shit, you're fucked.